of the placements together for any one person, they come together in such different ways, even between very similar placements. Everyone has their own personal symbology and almost like a life mythology. And there are always multiple potentials to pull from with that. And I think that realizing that you have multiple different life narratives you can spin from the same building blocks is really, really transformative. And looking at the chart in that way, I think has been very empowering. For me personally, when I started looking at my own natal chart, I was really disheartened because I could see clearly, yes, all of the doom and gloom and the really harmful family narratives. They were very present, very clearly in my chart off the bat. And seeing it written in the stars, being able to point to anything and say, yes, I can see the cycles of abuse playing out, that felt really, really disempowering. But as I sat with it for longer, and especially as I started working with it in order to change my personal circumstances for the better, there's more to it than just what jumps out at first. And even between the same exact placements, my natal chart hasn't changed. The narrative can shift with me. And that, I think, has been really, really beautiful. Especially as, like, in my personal life, I've come a long way now. I used to really relate to Rapunzel. Clearly, I'm not in a tower anymore. And clearly, like, my life has gotten a lot better. And I have this work to thank for that in a lot of ways. My very first talisman was a lunar talisman, and I made it right before I ran away for safe travels. And I've been working that same lunar talisman for the past couple years. And even just opening the door for one more positive spin of the powers that be made such a humongous, humongous impact. Lately, I've been focusing more on opening up to Jupiterian vibes. My natal Jupiter is in Gemini, and I used to spite the gods as a joke with that. I didn't understand my Jupiter placement, even though when I look at others with similar placements, it's not hard to understand. But for me personally, with my chart, connecting with that energy has always been very difficult on a individual level. And as of late, I've been thinking of it in a different way. Jupiter in Gemini for me was always absent father energy, and he just does not behave in the way that I expected him to. When you read about Jupiter and abundance and the greater benefic, welcoming the hearth, the home protection, luck, expansion, all of that. It's not that it's uncompatible with Gemini, of course not. But for whatever reason, until just this year, I just could not click. And I was thinking on that today as I was reflecting on how far I've come as an astrologer. And I was reminded of how, even when I was very little, before I ever got into astrology seriously, when I was in elementary school, there was this girl in a class that I was in, and she was asking all of us, well, there are planets that rule the signs that your sun is in. So, like, what planet rules you? And she was going around telling people what planet ruled them based on their sun sign, and it was really fun. And she got to me, and she asked me what planet ruled me, because she had listed off everything, and I said Saturn. She said, "Oh, so what sign?" No, Sagittarius. And she was like, "Oh, but then Jupiter rules." No, Saturn. Even at that young age, I always felt more connected, more in tune with Saturn's sphere over Jupiter's. And it makes sense with that being such a heavy presence in my chart. But as of late, I've been thinking of it. And I think that my journey with astrology really has been my journey with my natal Jupiter. I've been liberated from all of these older destructive narratives and family patterns, and I've opened doors to greater understanding and power and connection with others, with ideas and histories that are so interesting and astounding to me. And it has been this process of opening the door to hope, opening the door to beauty, opening the door to change and optimism. And I think that the term that best fits this process for me has been re-enchantment. I think it's very easy to become disillusioned with life and look at all of these things with a very fixed perspective and see the gloom and the doom that jumps out at you at first and take that and go no further. And it's frightening even to accept that you wish for more, because that requires you to look at reality and consider the possibility of it not coming through. Faith and fear are two sides of the same coin. When you fear, you are having faith in a bad outcome. It's so easy to get stuck in that and to take the narratives that you start with and never rework them. I think that is my most favorite thing about looking at natal charts, is finding the narratives that are there, finding the ones that have gotten stuck, and helping people to rework them, retell themselves the story of who they are, what is possible for them, whether or not there is any hope. Because I believe that there is a great deal of hope for this world still, and for all of us in it. And as I have opened myself to hope on a personal level, it's always been easier for me to see that for others than for myself. But as I have opened myself to that on a personal level, I have found just opening and opening more and more. And it's just so much easier and more beautiful than I ever thought was possible. Divination is a beautiful, beautiful tool set. And being able to take that information and choose what to do, choose how that fits in, what meanings you imbue it with, and what actions arise from those. It is enchanting, it is transcendent, it is expansive, it's magical, it's abundant and jovial, and it's everything that I thought would come in other ways. But it's better than I imagined. Of course, my imagination was also limited by what I believed was true of myself and the world around me, even in ways that I hadn't deconstructed or taken time to look at in so long. I think especially for those of us who have a more difficult start. I found a lot of people like myself who come to astrology and other forms of divination and religion, spirituality, and getting to the why underneath the why is so hard. When you're given good information and you see, yes, it is reflected, it's the validation doesn't feel good in the way that you expect, because often that's where people stop. And if you stop there, if you stop at what jumps out at you, if you stop at the narrative that has already taken the strongest root in a life, you are closing doors to so much possibility. Helping people open those doors helped me to open the door for myself. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. Even a fixed fate isn't really fixed in the exact way that you understand it. All of the information that you can gather and understand from divination more broadly, and from astrology, from your natal chart, it's all worthless, it's meaningless without your active engagement, your sincere interaction and working with the powers at hand, opening yourself to different ways of telling the story. And as I've grown as an astrologer, I've started to focus less and less on pointing out things in the past and I've started to become very, very careful about the way that I word things, because I want to help people open those doors. And as I've been looking to the astrology ahead this year and the years to come, I do see a lot of heaviness. But even within that heaviness, I see a great deal of hope. I think that if I can impart anything to others in my practice, I would want for it to be hope. I used to believe when I was younger that hope was a very trifling thing at best. I used to live my life by a phrase. Translated, it is without hope, without fear. And I would tell myself each day that whatever I was doing that day, I was doing it because it was meaningful and worthwhile in and of itself. I did not need hope. I didn't have any hope. And the idea that I would need hope in order to be able to go on with my life was an idea with a devastating power. It would have crushed me. It would have rendered me unable to act if I had acknowledged the fear that came in hope's absence. And when I would hear people speak of hope to me, it was often in this most dismissive way, where hope was their excuse not to act. But as I have grown as a person and in my practice, I have come to find that hope is probably the most vital power in our human lives. Hope is not inaction. Hope is not idleness. Hope is not a powerless wish. It has its own power. It moves us to act and to dream of something better. And that, I think, is my overall goal now. Is to share that hope, that hopefulness that I have found for myself, and give it to others freely. And it is such a wonderful privilege to be able to speak of it now. And it has been such a wonderful privilege to be trusted with others' life stories. If you are looking at your natal chart, if you are looking at the meanings of your placements now, as there's so much information online, when you see piecemeal information, and if it makes you feel disheartened, don't stop there. If you're looking ahead at the transits of this upcoming year, and if you're looking ahead at maybe Saturn returns or difficult times, don't stop there. Keep going and look for the glimmers of greater meaning. Look for the potential for other narratives and ways to spin it. I promise you, they are there to be found. And if you would like some help along the way, if you would like to be re-enchanted with your life and see other narratives, other ways to tell your story and shape the parts that are yet to come, I invite you to book a consultation with me. It would be my honor to look at your chart as well and help you open that door. If you take anything away from this, I hope that it is hope. And I hope that you will be able to carry that forwards with you in the times to come. And if you find yourself feeling stuck, if you find yourself feeling trapped by your personal narratives, by the powers that be, I invite you to go a bit further. Look at it with more open eyes. From a lens of enchantment and co-creation rather than control. And rather than living by without fear, without hope, I invite you to come with me and live with hope, with magic, and with faith in goodness and change.